Hey everybody, it's Dana and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and get into a card today. Today we're going to be playing with products from the new Hero Arts My Monthly Hero for December of 2021. I can't believe this is the last kit of the year. And these are all of the products that you're going to get in your kit this month. So let's go ahead and make the card. Today I'm going to be doing some ink blending with Taffy Hero Hues, Blue Hawaiian Hero Hues, and the Grape Slush. These are the reactive inks from the Hero Arts line, and they work perfectly for making beautifully blended cards. I'm going to first start off with the Taffy color, and I'm going to start loading up my brush and placing this down on the paper. I'm going to bring this color about a third of the way down. It doesn't have to be exact. I just want to make sure I leave enough space where I'm going to have all three colors kind of over blend on itself. Once I get down that Taffy color, I'm going to then move in with the Blue Hawaiian. Now this is a different color combination for me. This is the first time I'm trying it, but I wanted to see what these colors would look like together. And at the end of the card, I realized that this might be one of my favorite color combinations. So I'm going to blend that Blue Hawaiian into that Taffy, loading that up. And I'm not worried right now about if I have any splotchiness because I'm going to come back and add a little bit more ink later. Now I'm going to go in with the Grape Slush, and I'm going to pull that in from the bottom part. But before I do that, I do want to protect my fingers because you guys know with ink blending, if you start touching on to the panel when it's wet, you can leave your fingerprints. So in order to not get my fingerprints everywhere on this card, I'm going to use that purple tape. Like I said, I will bring in that purple slush from the bottom to meet in the middle where I have that Blue Hawaiian. Now again, you can use the regular Hero inks. I just wanted to use the Hero Hues today because I wanted to give myself the opportunity to really saturate this paper with some water when I'm finished my ink blending. Again, I'm just making sure to use enough ink where I'm going to get a good transition between both colors. Again, when you start, if you don't have a great blend, don't worry about it. To me, the more ink you add, the better your blend is going to be. So don't be too nervous about using up a lot of ink when you do your ink blending. To me, you just achieve a better blend. Now, once I have this all done, I'm trying to see where I'm at on this. And I like where I'm at, but before I get started on another round of this blending, I do want to clean off my desktop. I really don't want any of that purple to get into the pink. So anytime you're doing ink blending, just make sure to clean off your surface while you're working so you don't cross-contaminate your colors. I'm going to start again with that Blue Hawaiian and work my way all the way through my color palette again. Once I get that finished, I love this color blend because the purple and the blue, the blue and the pink make a shade of purple. And then I'm getting a different shade of purple with the blue and the purple. Next, I'm going to darken this up a little bit. So I did bring in some black soot. And this is going to darken up those edges and really get the color to focus in the middle. This to me is a great way to make like a galaxy sky. If you place down, your brighter colors and then you go around your border with either regular black ink or the black soot distress oxide ink. And I'm using oxide because they mirror the reactive inks that I'm using from Hero Arts. Once I get that totally blended the way I like it, you really see that my color is now concentrated to the center of my card. And it kind of does give off more of a galaxy feel. Now I'm going to spritz some water on this, and this is going to reactivate those inks. I'm going to get like those blotchy little water specks that we usually like when we're using distress oxide inks. That's also happens when you're using the Hero Reactive inks. So I'm just using my towel to kind of dry that back just a little bit. And look how gorgeous this background is. Now I do want to add a little bit something more to this background. So I'm just going to take up most of the moisture from this. And then I'm going to put this into my splatter box. I do want to add a little bit of white to this. So I'm using my Hero Arts Shimmer Spray. And I'm just going to spritz a little bit of this on here. Now, I usually don't like to spritz it from the nozzle per se. I like to shake it very well because it does have shimmer in it. And then I'm just going to kind of pull out the nozzle and like tap the paint around. Now you can go directly from the nozzle. I just feel like I have a little bit better of a control placement when I kind of do it this way. And I always have a splatter box for any time I need to do paint splatters so it just does not get all over my desk. Once I have all that done, I am going to make sure to heat set this. Because one, the paper's a little bit damp still from the water I use, and now it is going to be damp from the spray. Now you do have a cover plate that you can use this month in your kit, and it will look gorgeous on this. But I felt the need that I wanted to heat emboss this with the coordinating bold print background. So I make sure to get this nice and dry, and I am going to test it before I start my heat embossing. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of the heat embossing or the white powder on there just to make sure that my card is dry. Anytime you're doing ink blending, you want to make sure your card panel is dry before you start any kind of heat embossing on it. Once I know that's ready, I can go ahead and pull in my Misty, and I am using that gorgeous background, that bold print that's coming in this month's kit. It is like a neighborhood or like cityscape. And I love this. One, because my son lives in Brazil, so he's so far away from us. And he does live in more of a city instead of a neighborhood. So I'm actually going to send him this card. Now, I like to take my bold prints, line them up in my Misty, and then place my paper on top. I do like to use a little bit of adhesive on the back of my paper. And this way the paper is going to stick to the top of my Misty lid. Now, there are so many examples from the Hero Arts, my monthly hero for December 2021 kit. And I think you guys are going to be so inspired on how to use this stamp set. Now, don't forget there are add-ons as well during the month, so you can pick those up as well. I'll have everything listed in the description box below for you guys if you would like to make your purchases. Now, I did say I am going to heat emboss this, so I am using my Watermark ink. This is also from Hero Arts. And this ink, if you guys aren't familiar with it, it allows you to either have a watermark on your card or it allows you to do heat embossing. This is what makes the powder stick to your card. I am going to dust off my panel with my anti-static bag just in case, I don't want any of this white to be stuck all over the card. This is a very, very detailed image. So I want to make sure that my panel is thoroughly dry because it would be very difficult for me to kind of pick through the buildings to get any of that extra embossing powder off. I am going to use my stamping tool here to really help me press my paper into this stamp. Once again, it is a very detailed stamp with some gorgeous line art. So I just want to make sure before I start putting on my embossing powder that I do have a crisp image. So I like to kind of stamp it once, kind of tilt my Misty so I can see if I have good coverage. If I don't, before I pull that paper off, I can go ahead and re-stamp this. So once, I pull this paper off, I'm never going to be able to get this line back up. So just for my sanity, I'm going to end up double stamping this because I will be beside myself after all this ink blending. And then I realize I don't have a good crisp image. Once I know I have it, I can gently go ahead and peel that off. I can go ahead and set my Misty aside. And now I can come in with my white embossing powder. This is Hero Arts Detail White Embossing Powder. And I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle that onto my card panel. And you really see these buildings come to life on this card. And then I'm going to make sure that I heat set this thoroughly. because again, there are a lot of detailed lines on this one. So I do want to make sure that before I take away that gun, that I really have this heated. And you can see how pretty this looks now. Like most of my color is focused towards the middle of my card. And I have that dramatic black border. Absolutely love how this came out. So I'm bring this up closer to the camera and look how beautiful that looks. Actually, the black soot almost turned like a burgundy brown instead of like stark black. I don't know why that happened, but I love it. Again, you can use the cover plate. That will look beautiful across this. But because I like it so much, I'm not going to use the cover plate today. I'm just going to grab one of the sentiments. Now, your sentiment pack is not going to look like this. We end up getting mock-up stamps as design team members. So yours will actually have the black images on your acetate. I'm going to use one of the sentiments, and I'm also going to use one of the images. But before I get started, I am just going to go ahead and make my card base. So this is Dove White card base from Hero Arts, and I'm using the standard A2 size card. That's the card that I mostly gravitate towards. And I can go ahead and get my card base done, and I'm going to set this aside. Now I do want to trim down my colorful panel because I left it as a regular card panel, but I do want to trim this down because I do want to have a white border around my cards. What I like to do is kind of take 1/8 of an inch off on one side, 1/8 of an inch off the other side. And I do that to all 4 sides, just so I can kind of like center my image a little bit better compared to just taking off like 1/4 of an inch from, the top and then the left. If you kind of work it where you take a little bit off of each side, it kind of evens out your design. Once I have that trimmed down, look how pretty that's going to look with that white card base. All right, now let's go ahead and start placing a sentiment. So for my sentiment, I am just going to stamp this on white cardstock. I don't really want to have any other color on this, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to kind of change things up a little bit. So when I started making this card, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to heat emboss this maybe in black. So I'm going to take one of the sentiments, and then there's this cute little dog. And because I have a little puppy, I thought it would be really, really cute for me to have this little puppy so I can send it to my son. So once I get everything lined up on this piece of paper, and this is just a piece of Hero Arts Dove White, I thought maybe at first I would just go ahead and use my embossing again on this. But you're going to see I'm going to end up changing my mind. And this happens a lot in my craft room. I might start something and like sketch out a card and then realize, yeah, that's not what I want. So you're going to see that I'm going to end up stamping this first with the clear embossing ink. I'll go ahead and press that down. And this is when I realized, like, no, I don't want to heat emboss this. Now, because I just used the clear ink, it's going to be okay for me to bring in a color ink on top of this. So even if I totally forgot to wipe this off, it would not harm my stamp or my ink pad if I had just kept the embossing ink on there. Instead, I want to kind of make this an ombre color to match my background. So I am coming in with that toffee ink. And I'm kind of trying to put it at the top of the little puppy and the top of the words. And then I'll blend that out with my blending brush. And then on the bottom part of it, I'm going to use that blue Hawaiian. Again, lightly tapping it across the bottom part of the sentiment, as well as that cute little puppy. And again, I'll go ahead and take a blending brush and kind of remove the harsh lines, kind of like blend that together. And then I can go ahead and close down my misty lid. And then my sentiment's going to have 2 colors instead of 1. And where it meets, it's going to blend to that purple color. Now, I did have to do this 2 or 3 times in order to get a very crisp image on this. Now I can go ahead and press that down and I'm going to have this really, really cool design for my card. So I love the color blend on this. Now all I have to do at this point is die cut this out and trim down my sentiment. But look how cool that looks. Love it. All right, so I went ahead and die cut everything out, and look how cute that little dog matches. And I'll go ahead and bring in the sentiment. Now, once I started putting this together, I felt like the sentiment might have been a little bit too stark white. So in order to kind of tone this down a little bit, I'm just going to take what was left over on my brush when I had used that black soot, and I'm going to go around the edges of the sentiment panel. I just didn't want it to be so stark white because to me it kind of blended in with what we had going on with the buildings in the background. So in order for me just to tone that down a little bit, I just need to use what's left over on that brush. I do not need to go back to my ink pad. And that's the great things about using these kind of blending brushes, is that you can use what's left instead of just like rubbing it off on a piece of paper, because they do hold a good amount of ink. And I do want to make sure I clean off my mat before I put my paper back down so it does not mess up the back of my card panel. And I like that better. I like that I toned that down just a tad bit. Now all I have to do is go ahead and grab some foam tape and pop this up on my card. All right, I'll get the last bit off of my cute little dog. And our card is done for today. Oh, I have to say, I really like how this card came out. I love the color combinations. I love having that black soot around the edges. And I love the multicolor sentiment and puppy. All right, everybody, that is the Hero Arts December My Monthly Hero Kit. I will see you guys in another video soon. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.